Good morning. Oh, this is Coffee with Grant. I'm Grant. This is Coffee. This is Ruby Dog. We have to do a quick one today because Rubes has to go to the doctor uh, to get her teeth scrubbed. And just like me, she has to be sedated when she goes to the dentist or she will bite somebody's fingers off.
Yep. Yes, you're just like your papa.
Oh boy. Oh. So, I wanted to talk today about phone addiction. Yeah, I even wrote it down like I was gonna forget what I was gonna talk about. Phone addiction. Um, Partially because it's going to explain what I'm doing with social media. So I want to backtrack. I have been for a long time, been wrestling with depression. I would say for probably 18 years, I've been wrestling with depression, and it tends to come on in cyclical bursts where I'll have like a week where I am amazing, like I feel great and I'm amazingly productive, and I suddenly have the agency to do all the projects that I want to do or that I need to do. I have the agency to I'm like, oh, doing chores isn't a huge Sisyphean task where I'm pushing the boulder up the hill. It's like, oh, I'll just take the trash out real quick. It's no big deal. Oh yeah, you can have your own video blog. And that would be, I don't know, I know what that would be, and it would probably get more views than mine does. It'd be just this. Just butthole adjacent. Anyway. So, and then the depression would kick in, and it would be like 2 or 3 weeks of just feeling awful. And I, being a troubleshooter, being a problem solver, I attempted to troubleshoot and problem solve. So I learned a lot about depression and what causes it. I learned about the different mechanics that affect your brain and how your brain functions, and where depression might fit into that. And I attempted to throw a bunch of variables at this problem to make it go away, or to learn more about how my brain and my situation was. And so I just started to collect data, and in collecting data I started to try to figure things out. And part of that was, oh, excuse me. Oh. Oh, it is so dry in here. It's so very dry. Part of that was the realism of it. I went, okay, you know what? I saw all this research about things that were supposed to help with your depression, and there was a ton of different variables I could explore, but I didn't have time to go, okay, well, I'm going to take 6 months to just do this, and then I'm going to take 6 months to just do this. So I decided to throw all the spaghetti at the wall at once, and I went and tried to do everything. And this is not a good scientific method. I will point out. Trying to adjust every variable and then guessing which one is working afterwards is not a good thing. But it's also like the last ditch of a desperate man. So how this experiment went is that I went to no alcohol, 1 cup of coffee a day. Like, I mean, and this is like double what the amount of coffee I would normally have. I had a standardized, think like diner coffee cup, that I would have per day. And no social media, no news exposure. I deleted and unsubscribed from all of my YouTube streamer, any YouTube account that gave me the news, which included all the late night shows. I decided to do therapy and social groups, and deleted all the shopping off of my phone in addition to all the social media. Because and then I was like, oh, I also need to exercise, I need to sleep well, I need to lose weight, I need to hydrate more, I need to. So I did that. I did all those things. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get my bike back out and start biking again. I'm going to, and I mean, just threw everything at this. And for a hot second, that sucked. Um, and I learned a lot. I'm not going to talk about the results of that. I mean, I'm going to eventually, I'm sure, but for a while, what I realized what I was doing was actually doing a personal experiment on the side effects of phone withdrawal. I did a lot of research for what there was out there publicly available for what to expect from phone withdrawal symptoms. And there really hasn't been a, it's so weird because there's a ton out there on drug addiction. There is a ton of research out there on what happens when your brain is addicted to heroin, it's addicted to cocaine, alcohol, opiates, anything, anything that way. Excuse me. But there really isn't a whole lot of studies about phone addiction, about what happens to your brain when you just take that and you limit yourself from using it, and you actively try to do that. And what I observed was all of the symptoms. I was irritable. I was incredibly quick to anger. I was restless and pacing. For like, and I'm gonna say for like a month and a half to 2 months. So I had completely gone cold turkey, and this is from being unable to set my phone down. Like compulsively, I would pick my phone up, pull up Reddit, pull up Facebook, pull up something else, scroll, realize I was doing it, put it down, immediately pull it back up because my brain was like, nope, we don't like this. And I think that many people out there have had that experience, right? That's not a new thing for people. And you go, oh, well, what would happen if I really had the self-discipline to follow through with it? And what I found was that part of it was the muscle memory. So if you're thinking like, if you're a functional alcoholic and you're trying to quit alcohol, having a full bar in your house is probably not going to help you. Or having a ritual where every day, every part of your day, you were like, oh, I always keep the fridge full of beers, and therefore I sit at this chair and I have a beer and So the idea that you pull your phone out when you're in the bathroom is a way of basically saying, oh, okay, now you're going to habitually use your phone. And what I found was that it's almost impossible to not pull your phone out in the bathroom if you're used to doing that. And what I would do, I literally got to the point where I had nothing to scroll through on my phone. My rule was no social media, no shopping apps, which included food ordering apps. I'm like, if I'm going to do something on the internet where I have to interact with other people, I am going to, within reason, I'm going to do it on a laptop computer. I'm going to have to sit in a place and I'm going to be intentional about what I'm doing. And then when I'm done doing that, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do something else. And what I found was my brain was like, pull your phone out. And it didn't matter that I had nothing on it anymore to connect with people. I ended up going through all my old emails. You know how like you've got like what I have is a personal email account. I've got a work email account. And when you live out of the work email, you absolutely neglect your personal email. And so I had an unholy number of unread personal emails. And I, over the course of a month and a half, went through every single one of them. I was like, unsubscribe. It was like, my brain is like, give me something. Give me anything, man. Like, you can't just throw me out in the wind. That sucked. And the unintended, I was on edge. I was so angry. And, road rage was, it just immediate. I felt like I could, seeing red, get super frustrated by little things in the world, minor inconveniences, just like waiting in line. And I saw that behavior and I was like, oh shit, it was directly related to my brain going into these withdrawal symptoms. And then you look at the symptoms of drug withdrawal, and dopamine withdrawal, and they are identical. It is the exact same thing. So you can be truly addicted to your phone, and even though it may not be affecting your social relationships, it may not be affecting your job, you may be able to still be a functional phone addict. I guess that would be the term. It's still doing shit to your brain. So what happened was with my personal experiment is I kept with it. And over the course of 2 months, at the end of 2.5 months, I went from like literally picking my phone up and just scrolling around the apps. Like I would rearrange the app store. I would try to do like a to-do list. I would be like, okay, and then putting it back down. And then my brain would be like, no, you need to pick it back up. And I was not getting the hit of dopamine that I was used to. And then I would put it back down and pick it back up. And after 2.5 months, I finally got to the point where I could leave my phone in my pocket and not touch it. At 3 months of doing that, I could set my phone on the counter and walk away from it and forget it places because I didn't need it. I wasn't picking it up all the time. That was a tough road to get to, and it was very eye-opening. And like any addiction, it's easy to fall back into it. And so what happened this year, and I say this year a lot like 2026, this year is in what happened in all of 2025, was that things politically and socially started to get incrementally worse. There were social causes that I wanted to support. There were social groups and collaborations that I wanted to be a part of. And some of those needed social media. And I started using my problem solving, my writing brain, to come up with arguments on what to do, how to behave, just so I could process what was happening in the world. I learned a lot about, let's say, immigration law. I did a whole deep dive on immigration law and how realistic the laws are that people are trying to hard enforce right now. And I learned a lot about that argument, and I realized that it was way more complicated than anyone was giving it credit for. And that it also wasn't worth, like, if it was truly a problem we wanted to solve, we were going about it the entire wrong way. And I did a lot of writing on that topic. And the side effect was that I was interacting more and more and more and more and more with my phone and with social media. And then as current events turn and things become more dire, it's way easier to say, oh, well, holy shit, I need to be on my phone all the time because I don't want to miss the thing that might happen that I need to react to. I don't want to be the, if there's this false logic of like that your participation in the internet is somehow going to, somehow going to matter. It's that idea that for what evil to succeed in the world, all good men have to do nothing. But it's also this idea that being online and doing that to your brain is different than doing nothing. I see so many of the problems, like the problems that we have currently on social media, the problems that we have on Facebook and on Twitter, especially on Facebook and Twitter, about bots and incendiary comments and the vile, vile things that you see and expose yourself to, and these alternative narratives. Those are designed to rile you up. It is designed not to be a place of intelligent discourse or compassion or community building. It's designed to inspire outrage because they've figured out that outrage drives people in. I had a little bit of a eureka moment in that I had a post on Facebook start to go viral. And that's an interesting experience if you've never had that happen, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a lot more attention than it normally has. And when things have a lot more attention than they normally have and more people feel compelled to weigh in, it starts to just absorb this little microcosm of the internet. And you get a lot of people who go, oh, I really agree with the thing that you posted. Thank you for doing it. And you get a lot of people who go, yeah, no, I'm not a fan. And then you get all the extremes in there. And I started to just just as a thought, just as an experiment, I was thinking of writing something up about it. I started to document the comments. And of the like 700, 800,000 comments that this post was getting, I was looking at trying to see if I could develop a system where I could identify where bots, which ones were bots, which ones were real people, and if there was any telltale signs. So I found that most of the accounts that were claiming to be adults, because kids shouldn't have Facebook accounts, most of the adult accounts that were a year or less old tended to be bot accounts. They looked to be incredibly fake. They had maybe one follower, no friends, and like a just a copy and pasted photo, like an AI generated image for a profile picture. And sometimes it was always like either extreme right wing or left wing imagery, and almost to a person, all of the bots were calling for violence. So of the like 600 and 700 comments that I sorted through, a good 2/3 of the bots were in support of a conservative bias where they wanted, in this case, this was an ICE related post, and they wanted ICE to kill more people in the streets, essentially. They were like, yeah, they're not doing enough. This is good. We should be doing it. These are all bot accounts that I went through and individually verified. I'm like, okay, yep, nope. And I started to delete those comments because I had the ability to do that. And then I went through and I was like, wait a second. There's a lot of other people going like, fuck this, we should kill ICE at the street. I'm like, let's just, let me take a step out of my own personal bias and go, let's look at everybody. So then I found that a lot of the, almost to a person, the people claiming that we should kill ICE in the street were also all bot accounts. So something started to open up. I went, okay, so there's this fringe amount of people saying very incendiary comments, and their goal wasn't to make a point in one way or the other. Their goal was to get people riled up so that they were ready to do violence against each other. And then I realized that one of those accounts had gotten there very early and had left this comment up. And I left it because it was the first comment, and it had like 30 little child comments on it where people were reacting to the bot account. They said, oh, this isn't patriotic, you have compassion, this isn't a good thing to do, and this account is just, and good people are taking the bait. They were taking the bait and they were weighing in, and they were wasting their time and their energy making a case for being human to something that wasn't human. And I realized that by self-moderating my comments, I was taking the bait away. That there was more opportunity, and people were like, yeah, this is like liberals, they're gonna censor everything. And I was like, no, this isn't about liberals or conservatives. This is about me doing a fucking experiment, a social experiment. And the social experiment was, okay, if I get rid of the obvious bot accounts calling for violence, what will people then comment? They won't have something to react to. There won't be a thing. And what happened was there was a dramatic drop in the momentum of the post because there was less controversy. The algorithm said, oh, people aren't as interested in this, so we're going to not prioritize it in people's feeds, and we're not going to show it to people. So that was an interesting thing. That was an interesting revelation. And the other outcome of that was that, so now the realization of this is, if you run a platform, if any message that you want to get out there, and I saw a post about, it was a Democratic state senator in Minnesota that's running for re-election, and said, we're stopping in to visit the memorial where Alex Priddy was shot. I mean, just pictures of people standing around the memorial service. That's it. It was like, we're stopping in to pay our respects, not like, and vote for me and blah, blah, blah. And her post clearly because she is a candidate for office, is more of a target for trolls of every sort, human, bots, whatever. People are going to, she's going to be on some sort of list where people go and they hound her specifically. That's realistic, right? But knowing now that like any user that posts something on Facebook has the ability to go in and you can delete any comment that shows up on your own post. You could do it. You could self-moderate. It took me not that long to sort them and just go, oh, nope, we're getting rid of that one. We're getting rid of that one. And have my own rules to say, I'm not condoning any violence of any sort. Anything that says we should escalate violence is going away. That's not helpful in this moment, etc. And I typed a thing on her comment. I said, hey, just so you know, like, you may not realize this, but you can delete these comments that are so awful. And I got a bunch of like 50 or something like likes on that comment. It became like the top like on her thing. Is that so people want to not see the comments. They don't want to see the rage bait on here. But nothing happened. And two things happened probably. One is that she's probably, if she is running for office, she's probably not managing her own account, would be my guess. Serious campaigns are going to have social media managers. But two, she wants her message to get out there. And so now you're locked in this paradox of you want your message to get farther, but to do that you have to enable the people who are actively trying to sabotage your message. Yeah. There's no fixing this from the ground up. There's no amount. I'm like, I can do what I can do in my little space, but like Facebook could solve this tomorrow if they wanted to. They have tools to moderate comments. They have more tools at their disposal now with the advent of AI than they've ever had. You would think they would be able to do like, you know, like what Reddit does, and essentially to say, hey, these are negative. Like the karma system on Reddit is kind of brilliant in that way, in that I generally find if somebody has negative karma, if you have said such inflammatory things in communities where they don't belong, that you have gone into the negative, I really don't care what you have to say. Basically, you don't know your audience. There are some places on Reddit where you'll get upvoted for some awful stuff, and if you can't figure that shit out, you are probably not very smart. But Facebook doesn't have like a downvote button, and so I think Facebook could vet these accounts and purge a bunch of them. But again, they make money off of ads, and fake accounts click on ads, and ads drive their revenue, and they are not incentivized at all to fix this problem. People just need to get the fuck off of Facebook, which is essentially what I'm doing. I'm done with Facebook. I should have been done a long time ago. I got back in because the wonderful local improv theater here in town does a lot of their communication via Facebook Messenger, and I was like very reluctant to pick it back up, and then what happened was one thing led to another, and now I'm very involved. Can't do that anymore. Not gonna do it. It's not healthy. It's not a fun place to be. I haven't found a place yet where that is a thing, where I like, you know, like where this isn't a problem. To do that, I would need a social media platform that isn't ad driven first, and that has a policy of verifying real humans. It's almost like what we need is the original Facebook. It's like Facebook from back in time should come and bail us out of our current jam, where you had to invite people to join, and you had to get an invite to be part of Facebook, and you also had to have a .edu email address from a college to be part of it. That is my Facebook address is still my Nebraska Wesleyan University email. To put that in perspective of how far we've slid, it's time. There are other platforms, there are other places, and there's other ways to communicate with people that you care about and to send that good out into the world. But there is turning your brain into mush to try to do that isn't what any of this is about. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to post here on the if I'm going to write, I'm going to revamp my blog. We'll do some linking back and forth from Grant's workshop page to the blog page, and then I'm going to figure something else out. So we're but I'm gonna go cold turkey on the phone stuff again. So expect a lot of very frustrated rants coming up, I guess. Here's the capstone on this before I go, because we got to get Rubes to the doctor. The capstone on this is that what I found, because I've gone off of my phone a couple of times since the 2 or 3 month slog, and what I found is that if you've done it once, it is way easier to go cold turkey again. Those neural pathways are not as rigid, they're not as hard to forge, and so I can now, if I'm really trying, put my phone down and not touch it after about a week of ignoring it, which is a handy skill to have, I guess. So I guess hang in there. Human brains are weird. Be kind to each other. Until tomorrow, I suppose. Have a good day.